everybody. I just wanted to give you a few quick tips and tricks for workout 22.1. Now, this video is not intended to be a standards video. So the assumption is that when you watch this video, you have already read through and watched all of the standards on the CrossFit Games website. If you have not done that yet, then you should absolutely go do that before coming back to this video. But the video here is intended to give you some ideas of some things to think about in terms of how you're approaching 22.1. Now, the first item, and I think the most important thing for the overall workout, is setting the right pace from the start. I think it would be really easy to either go out too hot and get a couple minutes into the workout and find yourself hitting that wall, or to start the workout too slow and to sort of get stuck in that tempo, that slower tempo. The goal of this, if you know where your red line is to find that red line and to work just underneath that for the full 15 minutes so that when you finish your last minute, you are totally depleted. Now, a recommendation if you're doing this in the class setting is to perhaps start your first round just a little bit slow, because I think the adrenaline of the class can feed into that, and then settle into your pace the second round. So maybe speed up or slow down based off of how that first round felt. I like to think of myself on a workout like this where I feel like I'm going through just cyclical, like round after round after round. I think of myself like I'm a machine, and I try to maintain consistency throughout all my rounds, and also try to stay as relaxed and comfortable being uncomfortable as possible. Now, to go over some movement standards, not movement standards, but movement strategy ideas. So first, for the wall walks, I've got a couple different ideas for you. One thought is where you rest. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take it back here. I've got a nice little set up here. So as I'm resting at the bottom of my wall walk, I wanna do something that takes pressure off of my shoulders and my hands. So resting either off to the side, resting with my hands above, maybe above and bent, or resting with my hands down below. Those are all really good ways to give your shoulders a break, because probably that's going to be the thing that's limiting your ability to do another rep. Now from here, a couple things that I think are really super helpful. The first is when I push up off of the ground, I'm going to stay on my knees, and that's going to allow me to get my feet up nice and high, and also get my shoulders over, my hips over my shoulders as soon as possible. The more upright your torso can be, so bent maybe even at the hips at a 90-degree angle or whatever is appropriate, the easier the rep is going to be, because if you're more diagonal, there's a lot more pressure on your midline, so your core and your back muscles, versus getting all that weight stacked on top of your shoulders. Now, finding a rhythm so that you're taking the same number of steps back and the same number of steps forward can be helpful, as well as turning your hands while you're moving. So I start with my fingers here, and then as I'm moving, so my hands are in the tape line here. As I'm moving, I rotate them out, and I might touch my pinky to the line that's closest to the wall, and then back in. Now, that all of these same strategy notes apply for the scaled reps as well. Moving and rotating the hands, using the knees on the way up, and also finding a consistency of pace in terms of number of steps. Now, on the dumbbell snatch, a couple different thoughts for you. First of all, if you watch the CrossFit Games, you saw that the athletes were hinging at the hips, not bending the knees much, and muscle snatching. So their reps look something like this, barely using their legs, mostly just using that hinge. Now, if the weight is really light for you, and you're doing a lot of reps like they were doing, maybe that's the best way to do it. But for most of us, actually using our legs to get that weight up overhead so that it doesn't fatigue us out as much for the wall walks is a great idea. So as we're doing these, jumping the weight up, standing up at the top. So I'm using my legs and I'm keeping the dumbbell close to my body. I am not avoiding the knee bend like the athletes were in the video. Now, finally for the box step overs, I think there's a couple things that are helpful. First is, I think the hardest thing to do is start them. And so when you're just staring at the box, it can be really challenging to start. So I would recommend as soon as you walk up to the box, get your first rep in. If at that point your body's telling you, no, you actually do need a break, then take a break. But if you can get that first rep in, oftentimes we can just keep going from there. Also, staying nice and low as we're pivoting on the box. So that pivot on the box is very helpful. So that's the box jump. I'm gonna stay really low here. I'm gonna pivot on this foot, and I'm gonna step down, and I'm ready for my next one. Staying low, pivoting on this foot. If you can alternate feet, that's fantastic. If this pivot is a new skill for you, then don't worry about alternating feet. Stick with the same leg on the pivot each time. That's totally fine as well. But the pivot will help you out in not only turning on the box, also stepping down, which is required. And furthermore, it will allow you to get yourself in a position that you're immediately ready to jump back up on the box. For our scaled athletes, step-ups are allowed, and it totally depends on what you need as an athlete. If you find that your heart rate is the limiting factor for you, and you want to slow that down, I think step-ups and overs are a great way to keep the heart rate down. If you feel like you're not limited by that, box jump and step downs are going to be a little bit faster, but it's all about where you are at in the workout as an athlete. If you find that it's pretty breathy, then you'll definitely want to switch up to step ups for those. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will be coaching all the evening classes tomorrow. The coaches as well will be prepared and ready to coach you morning folks tomorrow. Enjoy, have a great time, and we'll see you then.